I didn't meet a unionist until I went to college, for example.
What?
Yeah.
You did?
I didn't. Well, not that I was aware of.
If I'd known.
And I would have known.
There's an email in then from John, who's over in New York. As a Kerry man living in New York, I was hoping Ireland would qualify for the next World Cup. I now accept that's unlikely to happen. Whilst it's also unlikely that Northern Ireland will qualify with the way they're currently performing, I'd say it's more likely than ourselves. If they did qualify, I'd be interested in going to a game to support them. But I'd be curious as to how this would be received. Loving the podcast, John Brennan, New York. Do we have an official rule? So say if this was England, if he was saying, I think I might go and support England at the World Cup, then the quick answer would be, listen, John, you do you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a free world. Go support England. But our official rule is obviously we don't tend to do that. That's not.
Yeah.
You're sort of breaking the rules, but whatever, go do it.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know what's our kind of unwritten rule when it comes to supporting Northern Ireland.
It's a funny thing. I got a couple of text messages from people on Sunday inquiring as to Tom McKibben's background, as though well, are we allowed to support this guy in the PGA Tour next year? You know, and it's the same sort of thing. But maybe the football team, because I think obviously football teams, national football teams, are intrinsically political. You know, with things like anthems, and as we saw in Wembley at the weekend, these displays of military regalia as well.
I find it very hard not to wish Conor Bradley well playing in a World Cup game.
Like the point you're making there, individuals I think is different to the team. So Rory McIlroy, Darrell Gurney in the darts.
Well, sorry, what? I mean, I've gone to Conor there. I never even asked. I couldn't care less. Are you? I've always presumed because you're GAA, you're Catholic, and Conan Doherty, nationalist background. But how do you look at the Northern Ireland team?
I'm Irish, so for me, it's never been a thing. And I think growing up...
Would you say it's a Tuesday night and they're playing a match and the Republic are not playing and it's on TV? Are you hoping they beat Armenia?
No, I am ambivalent to Northern Ireland. I don't even hold any ill will towards them. I actually look at them like I would look at Wales, or probably Scotland's a better example, because when you see Scotland doing well now, it's a little bit like... because we feel like we should be at that level. We feel like we should be doing better than Scotland. So it's almost like I would find it hard to support Northern Ireland, mostly for that reason. So
that's more of a footballing issue than a political issue.
My team should be doing better. If my team, I remember at the Euros, Northern Ireland were there, but I had no graw for it. I wasn't invested in it. I'm happy for the like of Niall McGinn, who's from Tyrone as well, GAA man. Yeah. Shane Ferguson's from Derry, GAA man. Did a few interviews with him when I worked in Derry. Happy for them, but the team, it wasn't like I was getting behind it, and I was happy because Ireland were having a better tournament.
But equally, you're not anti it.
I'm not anti it, and there's almost two answers. So John's asking, is it okay to go support it? Yes, it's definitely okay to go support them.
Now don't bloody sing "God Save the King," John, when you go.
And
I just think the Kerry man in you at a certain point has to draw the line.
Yeah. And this is the real issue as well, because I know we can all come on and say, we're moving on, things are different, but they're not as well. Like you said, Windsor Park is so immersed in the unionist area. It's on the Lisburn Road. Linfield play there. And they do stand for God Save the King when you're there. I remember interviewing Shane McCullough. He was a underage coach in the IFA. He managed Darren Gibson at under 16 level, and he also works in Ulster University and did a paper in player eligibility and things like that. So really, really good to chat to him about it. He's obviously so invested in Northern Ireland football, but he was very honest about the anthem being the biggest problem, because we're asking these players from a nationalist background to not only come into the Lisburn Road, into Windsor Park, to then stand for that. And obviously with the Republic of Ireland, they're going to have more opportunities. The way we think of the English players, it looks better for them to go play for England. But outside of that, they're also Irish. So I always think if it's a choice, they're going to just go play for the Republic of Ireland.
And is there no part of the newer generation, God Save the King aside, Windsor Park aside, and they're big things to just say, let's cast them aside for 1 second. Is there no part of the newer generation born post Good Friday Agreement, the Troubles are ancient history to them, this is a new era, Northern Ireland's a new country, and I'm not Irish, I'm not British, I'm Northern Irish, and therefore I'm playing for Northern Ireland. Is that sentiment not growing?
It's growing, but if you see the census, it's still a very small percentage. It's still mostly Irish, British, and then Northern Irish would be the third on that list.
It's Rory McIlroy, in an interview with Paul Kimmage a couple of years ago, felt more Northern Irish
and this
than
is
either.
Yeah, and I wanted to be clear, when I talk like this, it's not even a political thing. Like where I grew up, it's so Irish. Like, you just follow Ireland. And actually, in Derry, you're not surrounded. I didn't meet a unionist until I went to college, for example.
What?
Yeah. Like,
You did.
I didn't. Like, well, not that I was aware of.
If I'd known.
And I would have known. But yeah, like that's.
Wait, sorry, what do you mean you didn't?
And that's not me avoiding.
How could you not meet a unionist?
Well, I went to a Gael school, and then I went to a Catholic all boys school in Derry, just down the street.
But like when you go to the shop, you get stuck for petrol somewhere. Is it just there's no unionists around?
Well, you'd be able to tell. No, like not in my day-to-day life. Like,
Okay, but you would strike me very sincerely as just like such a lovely person. Everyone you meet. So I can't think when you first met this your first unionist. I can't think you were in any way unfriendly.
well, you say that, and then I lived.
And then I hit him.
I lived in college in second year with 6 people, 5 nationalists and Protestant Dave.
All right, Protestant Dave. See, you like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, he's still called Protestant Dave, which is probably
That's great. But that means when you have a sense of humour about it, that's
Yeah.
the next step.
And he did. It was around the same time as the Unree handball, and he did have the last laugh then because we were all watching the game together. He was Northern Irish, and he was loving this.
So he was loving Henri then.
Yeah, he hung up an Henri Barcelona jersey on the wall and stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
I think if the
well, sorry,
question,
then fecked him.
yeah, I think if the question was flipped, I'm not sure we're getting a whole pile of
Unionist.
the floating Northern Irish supporting us in the World Cup.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I mean, obviously the message, John, in New York is go live your life. I mean, for God's sake.
Just don't tell anyone about it.
But do not tell anyone. Clearly.
It's yet another problem that Ireland's call could solve.
Well, indeed. Well, indeed.